You are now listening to the LanceScurv Show, the boldest spot on internet radio.
Wife confronts her husband in court after he murdered their 4 children. You are a con artist. You are a monster, Faith Green said to her husband, Gregory Green, in court at his sentencing trial on Wednesday. He pleaded guilty to 4 counts of second-degree murder, torture, assault with intent to do great bodily harm, and felony firearms violations. Gregory Green faces up to 47 years in prison and won't be eligible for parole until he is 97. Gregory Green was convicted of murdering his own children, 4-year-old Calais Green and 5-year-old Coy Green, that he shared with Faith with carbon monoxide. In addition to murdering his own children, he fatally shot his 2 stepchildren, Kara Allen, 17, and Chadney J. Allen, 19, in the basement of their home in front of his wife. He called the police and waited for them to arrive. He slashed her face with a box cutter. The scar that Faith once hid was now visibly seen from her ear to her chin. Faith obtained the scar from her husband, who slashed her face with a box cutter last September. Not only did he cut her face, he tortured his wife by tying her up and shooting her in the foot to ensure that she watched the deaths of her children. Faith shared that she now suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and pain in her foot where she was shot. Many people question Faith Green marrying Gregory in the first place. It was no secret that he was an ex-con who killed his first pregnant wife in 1991. However, Faith, along with her father, wrote letters requesting for Gregory to be paroled. Perhaps they believed in him and wanted to give him a second chance. The Greens married in 2010, 2 years after Gregory Green left prison on his 5th request for parole after serving 15 years. However, there were problems in their marriage as Faith filed for a divorce 1 month before the killings. Not showing much remorse, Gregory spoke out in court saying only God can judge him. I have to be humble, very humble, because God knows our heart and he knows how regretful and sorry I am. And even now, after all of this, he still has a plan, he told the court. And I'm not giving up on that plan because God is God, and there's not one day that goes by that I don't think of my girls, not one day. Often picture them playing and talking to the Heavenly Father. I pray that God be with them. I feel bad for how this has deeply impacted everyone, and may God help them, help me, and help us all. That's all I have to say. But at the same time, he offered an excuse, saying all he wanted was a God-fearing helpmate who would support him. Your justice will come when you burn in hell for eternity, Faith Green said to her husband in court, sharing that all she wanted was to be a wife and a mother.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied with the outcome. There's no punishment that fits the crime. Not even torture and death would be justice. Your justice will come when you burn in hell for all eternity for murdering 4 innocent children, all because you're insecure as a man. Plus the other 2 lives you took. You are a con artist, you are a monster, you are a devil in disguise. You are now forever exposed. I've thought over and over again what I would say, even though it doesn't even matter. First of all, I am not and did not and will not suffer like you intended for me to do. What you tried to do didn't work. I am and was a damn great mother to all of my children. I was their mother and father. I'm the one who took out the time with each and every one of them. I taught them how to do things as well as people in my family and friends. I taught Chadney how to treat a woman with respect, how to fill out a job application, mock interviews, how to pay bills, encouraging him to give his all in his schooling producing movies and his drawings. He was a great artist. He graduated from Specs Howard for digital media arts. He wanted to be a producer to make movies. I taught Kara to stay focused, aim high. I showed her how to drive, how a young lady is to carry herself in an orderly manner. Be all that you can be. Try out for everything that you're interested in doing. Pursuing higher education. We were filling out college applications. She wanted to be an OBGYN doctor. She was going to graduate this year from high school. I taught Coy to be open to new things like learning a new language, be confident in doing her schoolwork and in herself. She loved doing arts and crafts with me, letting her imagination run wild. She loved dressing up and putting on my high heels. She would make me laugh, looking at me over her glasses like a little old lady. She loved ballet, cheerleading, and planting flowers with me. My Kaylee had the greatest memory. She loved singing. She loved to carry her purse, which was always filled with hand sanitizer and lip gloss. She loved getting her nails painted and sometimes doing it herself. She also loved ballet and cheerleading. She loved balloons and playing outside. I taught them to be giving, loving, and respectful, to help others, to volunteer. They were not selfish children. Coy and Kaylee were learning about kids less fortunate than themselves. I took them with me to purchase items for Christmas and explained to them what we were doing to make them happy. I always encouraged them and told them that they can do anything they put their minds to do. Those are the lives that you took. You tried to separate them from each other. They are siblings who loved each other and spent time with one another. Trying to split them up didn't work. They are together more than ever. Chadney and Kara are still watching over the little sisters, Coy and Kaylee, forever. I carried each one of them in my womb for 9 months and raised them. Nothing or no one, sure as hell, not you, can break me or break my bond with them. But while I stand up here trembling with fear, I put on my bravest face to be in the same room with the man who murdered all 4 of my children. 2 of them violently in front of me with a gun, Chadney and Kara. And he killed my other 2 babies, Coy and Kaylee, with a hose that ran from the tailpipe of his car to where they were innocently sleeping. As if that wasn't enough, let me tell you about some of the devastation that it has actually done to me and my family. My short-term memory is gone. Doctors tell me it's my brain protecting me from the memories of my children being shot in their heads right in front of me while I was gagged, duct-taped, and zip-tied. Every time I find strength to get out of bed, as soon as I walk, I'm in extreme pain, sharp pain, from where he shot me in my foot. They don't know if I'll ever walk again without pain. Think about that for a second. Never being able to again to walk without pain. My doctors say I have post-traumatic stress disorder. That's where the migraines and nightmares come from. Sometimes I dream of the night all this happened and wake up screaming and sweating, thinking that I can save my children somehow. Then I realize that the nightmare is actually reality and my children are really gone, and I try to find the strength to start my day somehow. Other times there's just crazy nightmares that I wake up from in fear and try to understand them, but I'm told that they all link back to this horrific experience I have had. I can't think of the last time I really rested without medication. I can still feel the zip ties around my wrist, and it triggers horrible memories of that night. There's times I find myself drifting off into thought and then realize I'm not thinking of anything. I'm empty. Lost. I'm lost, not really knowing what to do with myself, just existing day to day. I miss my children so much that words will never be able to explain. All I ever wanted to be was a mother, a wife, have a happy family, raise my children to be productive members of society, and be happy. The reality I face now is this will never happen for me. Time will never heal this wound. I will always be empty. A part of me will always be missing. If the day ever comes when I do wake up and it's not the first thing that I think about, when I look in the mirror, I will always be reminded by the scars he put on my face, cutting me from my ears to my chin with a razor blade box cutter. The pain on the left side of my face never goes away. He cut me so deep that it severed multiple nerves that may never heal correctly. I lost so much blood. I was in critical condition for days. I should have died. Some days I wish I would have. He has scarred me for life. My whole family is devastated emotionally by what has happened. But it has extremely been hard on my parents. They love their grandchildren with all their hearts. Most days my mother has a hard time getting out of bed and has been in the hospital a few times, but my father is taking it the hardest. He's not the same person he once was. The stress has taken a toll on his health. 2 weeks ago he was taken to the hospital because he had a stroke. I honestly don't know where to go from here. I'm numb. There's a hole in my heart and soul that can never be repaired. The loss to me is so big that I will never truly recover for the rest of my life. I will be forever in pain and heartbreak. This wound will never heal. This wound will never heal. I would like to thank the court and you, Your Honor, for the time you have allowed me to speak. I would like to thank the prosecutor's office and staff and all the police officers who helped in this case. In closing, I understand the recommendation of the sentence, but I would like to recommend, as a victim myself and the mother of all 4 murdered children, life in prison without the chance of parole. Thank you. Faith Green.
Gregory Green, it's no doubt that you got major issues, and it's all over for you. You are a monster. Instead of just leaving your wife alone and leaving your kids alone, I mean, that's bad, but killing them? Why? And then try to come with this elaborate excuse and your statements, and you're in denial. Who wouldn't be after doing something like that? But you killed your pregnant wife in 1991. Now, look, I'm not shifting the blame. I'm just using this story to speak on something that I see. I'm not blaming women. I'm not blaming Faith Green for this happening. Understand that. But I just want to mention something that I see across the board, and I want to focus on the sisters. I want to focus on the women. And I'm not saying that Faith Green is guilty of this. Maybe she is. But I'm just saying that a lot of this could be prevented when we take on a mate. Ladies, when you take a man into your life, you know, certain red flags pop up. When you take a man into your life, you can't be, and again, I'm not saying that this is Faith Green per se, but this has inspired me to speak on this, okay? That's why I said this is the ultimate of what can go wrong. When you take a man into your life and you really don't know him, and really, you know, it's easy to deceive people in this day and age, especially when a person, and one last time, I'm not saying you, Faith Green, it could possibly be that way, but when you take a person into your life and you're really, really hungry, it's easy to eat a plate of strange food when you're near starvation. And what's the starvation in this case? Well, okay, not this case, but in many cases. I have to be very careful of my language. Because many of you don't know how I speak and would just take it the wrong way and say, oh, you're saying this and you're saying that. So sorry for the redundancy. But in many cases, and let's move away from Faith Green, okay? But let's refer back to that as the worst that can happen. And things like this have happened before. And I don't have a list of all the cases, but there are things that are popular that got out there in the mainstream media and in social media. And there are things that remain local and didn't make the news because maybe a bomb was being dropped in another country or Donald Trump said something crazy. You know what I mean? It's what they choose to focus on. But this is something that has been going on since the beginning of time on many different levels. Okay? You take a man into your life. You feel that he is the one. He may be damaged goods to a point, but like a used car, you can deal with the things that need work on because overall you see that it's a good investment. Now, for Faith Green to take a man into her life that, for the most part, killed his pregnant girlfriend, that's deep. What did you see in him, Faith Green? I know you're going through pain also, but I'm talking to the Faith Greens of the world, not necessarily her. I don't want to beat up on her because she needs all of the prayer that she can get. I wish her nothing but comfort, love, healing, security, and really to distance herself, which you can't, because when a mother loses children like this, just to lose several children like this, 4 children, I believe, right? But to see it and it's something unnecessary, imagine the guilt that she has got to deal with. Like, I took this man in my life. I had 2 kids with him. I had 2 of my own, and they're all gone because of him. Imagine her dreams. So I'm not trying to add one iota of pain to Faith Green's life. So I'm speaking of the concept of the Faith Greens of the world. Women who take men in to their lives and date them and marry them and look past these issues that these men have, or they look past their history. You know, we have to have something. You know, we have all this technology around, right? We've got to have like an emotional credit report that you could run on an individual. It would be nice if we had something like that. And for you fellas and women in the club who are messing around on a physical level, it's nice to have a little gadget to wave over somebody to see if they have an STD. Wouldn't that be nice? The clinics wouldn't like it, though. You know, the medical community, medicine, they wouldn't like that. But anyway, it would be nice if we can just automatically know if this person is deceptive or not. But it's not like that. So we have to take time. But so many of us, male and female, and I'm focusing on the females now, so many of us are so much in a rush to change our Facebook relationship status. But is it worth it? Is it worth the drama? Is it worth the pain? Is it worth the tears? Because this was the worst to me that could have happened, and he could have taken her life, right? And maybe she wanted to have her life taken after having to deal, with the PTSD and thinking that, I'm alive and my kids are dead. And maybe she said, well, why didn't he take me? I could imagine the range of things, but it could be something as simple as you date somebody for a while and there's domestic violence, physical abuse, emotional, verbal, mental. There's all different types of ways to abuse somebody. And I find and I feel that too many of our sisters take men into their lives that they really could take a little more time to get to know and to see. Now, when someone has this in their past, as far as I'm concerned, killing your pregnant girlfriend / wife, I forgot what it was that quick. I guess it's the Alzheimer's kicking in early, right? But that requires more time. If you're going to deal with somebody who did that and spent so much time away, that alone shows me that they're not socially developed. I'm not knocking any one of my brothers who are locked up, but you got to really admit this, that you would be a lot different if you weren't locked up, right? And there's different reasons you can get locked up. So I'm not going to knock on certain brothers, but a brother like this, right, who's been locked up for killing his pregnant girlfriend / wife, that's a whole different ball game. I really don't look down on the guys who may have robbed a store to feed their family. I don't know the circumstances. I would ask first. I wouldn't just take. But that there, killing your kids, that's destroying them forever. I mean, they don't have a chance. To me, that's just like child molestation, right? I mean, children, you leave that alone. He really should get a beat down when he's sentenced. Who's going to really want to be a cellmate with him? He's going to have to be, confined in a special way where others don't get to him. And rightfully so, because he deserves a beat down every day. He deserves to have his teeth kicked out. He deserves to have his balls kicked off. He doesn't even deserve another orgasm in his life. I know that, you have all types of situations in prison. I wouldn't even allow this man to masturbate. I'd have him handcuffed to the back or somewhere where he couldn't even touch his own penis. And I wouldn't have him around anybody, so no other dude can go down on him. Not that that's the choice. You know what I mean? I'm just saying I would say, okay, you're not eligible for parole until 97, but you're not ever going to have an orgasm for the rest of your life. We're not even going to let you hump on the bed. No kind of way. Sleeping on your backs. Make some contraption for him. Torture him that way, right? We know he's a monster. But ladies, there's some women. Now let's go to another category, right? There are some women that are just straight desperate for a man, right? And it's not just the fact, oh, I have a man or I want to enjoy a relationship. That's not a desperate thing. We are social beings and we're made for each other and we're made to desire each other. And in a perfect world, we have that mate where we can have it all, right? But some women, it's not even just that. It's the show off factor where I have a man. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of find that especially in the South and in the Bible Belt of the South, that phenomenon is even more prevalent. I want some feedback on that particular aspect. And I'm not throwing off on anyone in the Bible Belt or the South, but you all know any observation that I get through my experiences, I'm going to speak on it because I want to use this as a way for us all to grow, even myself. So if I throw something out there and you feel I'm wrong, don't attack me. Just say, hey, I think you're not too correct on that. And here's why. But I just think that the whole traditional thing, our traditions are more preserved in the South because up north it's like anything goes. And of course, across the country it's like anything goes. There's more of the anything goes thing going on down in the South than there ever has at any point in American history and probably all over the world. But I'm focusing here in America, right? Because of social media and the exposure. Because that's what it was about up north. You're exposed to more things. But now, because of the technology, the whole world is exposed to more. But still, I think the South and the Bible Belt in practice lags behind. And I feel that many of those women, I can't give you a number, but you know what I'm talking about. Many of these women, it's not just a need for a man on all levels. It's they have to have a man to feel complete. They don't feel right unless they have that man. When they go to functions, yes, I have a boyfriend. Yes, I have a fiance. And things happen in cycles. I notice there's a resurgence of women on Facebook that I have observed that, I kind of know them personally, but they'll put out there, yes, I'm engaged and I have a man. And 2 months later, 2 weeks later, 2 days later, there's silence. And you see all of the pictures that they put up deleted, but no word on that man. There are some relationships that are successful and unions that are successful. I understand that. But we work so hard to appear like the real thing instead of focusing on our life and getting down to the basics and being the real thing. And we should live our lives for ourselves. Say, for example, you have many sisters and they're all married and you're not. They may say little things to throw off on you. Girl, it's getting late in the game. You better find you a man. And so some of these women will go over to a friend's house or their brother's apartment and see some dude laying on the couch with no teeth in his mouth, not throwing off on my toothless brothers, right? But don't know what that guy's about and yank him up and say, hey, come on with me. Hey, well, where are we going, girl? Who are you? Well, you're my man now, and we're going to take all these pictures, and I'm going to front with you, and we're going to act like everything is rosy. Because on Facebook, everything is perfect. And I'm using Facebook as an example because we have Twitter and YouTube and everything else, but people work hard on the exterior like a used car that's no good, but our life is like that lemon internally. And I just never understood that because life is too precious. I don't care, like everybody knows that my wife drives a better car than me, but I drive a hoopty and I'm okay with that. I have a 7 or 8 minute commute to my job and it gets me there. I don't care how many of my coworkers might say, hey man, you're driving a chitty chitty bang bang, but I got a studio in my house. right? It's not a brag thing because that's what I want, right? Maybe I eat better than those guys. Maybe I sleep deeper than those guys. Maybe I don't have to rent out every room of my house to pay the mortgage. Maybe I can walk around free. You know what I mean? So it's checks and balances on how people want to live. Everybody doesn't have the same set of standards or the same goals. So sisters, don't let somebody put something on you or throw off on you and make you feel less than a person because you don't have a man. Because most often, good dick is usually attached to a fool. And I did a video on that, right? Now, I don't know about good dick because I'm not into that and I don't have the appropriate orifice. I'm a man. But I've heard women say things to that effect. Just to have a piece of dick. You might as well just go down to your adult toy store or go online and get a battery-operated boyfriend. It works as long as you keep the batteries in, get the plug-in version so you don't get disappointed that the batteries ran out. Zzz, and knock yourself out every night without the drama. Because to have your kids killed, to have yourself slashed in the face, and in other cases to endure a beatdown, or a man who has an addiction problem, whether it's to drugs and Molly or crack or weed or alcohol, he goes into the account where you have to pay your rent or your mortgage and he takes all the money out and he doesn't have any explanation. He lets you work harder or more jobs to pay off everything while he skedaddles through life. You endure this just to have a man? And you dress this fool up, take him to church, take him to functions, and make sure that he's straight for the day? You're smiling, but you're really grinning and bearing it, clenching your teeth and crossing your fingers behind your back, hoping that he doesn't say something messed up, hoping that he doesn't reveal who he really is as you front for your sisters and your friends. Is it really worth it to have a man? The tears that you shed at night, the lack of joy in your daily walk. It's really nice to wake up every day and have someone next to you that you know you love them and they're totally committed, and they love you and they're totally committed. And you work together synergistically where it may be two people, but the combined energies of the both of you, it's like 25 people. You can get so much done. You sleep deeper. You laugh harder. Food tastes better. The sun shines brighter. The peace in your home. It's worth it when you're synchronized this way. But you just can't become synchronized with any old fool who's not compatible with you. But how do you know this person is compatible with you when you haven't spent time by yourself to know who you are? You can't just snatch a man and make it work. Yes, the parts fit. You can have sex. You can have wonderful sex as far as how it feels, but it's going nowhere because there's no real connection when you rush something and don't know what type of energy you're bringing into your life. We have spirits, y'all. We have a charge, an electrical charge. Sometimes it's positive. Sometimes it's negative. Lots of times it's neutral. And neutral to me is negativity in disguise because neutral can go either way. Those are little buggers that are hard to detect. But if someone has such a terrible past, why would you invest in them? And stop looking the other way. We've got to stop looking the other way. Look, this is 2017, and you have a lot of technology that can help you at your fingertips. So when you're in denial about something and you work hard to ignore situations, this is how molesters navigate in families, because he counts on your denial to move about in the shadows to do his dirt. And whole families are manipulated And they operate a certain way because they don't want to deal with the dirty secret. Whether it could be a man who's manipulating, whether it could be a man who's cheating, and you justify it. Well, I don't know what he does out there, but he's a good provider. I don't know what he does out there, but he never put his hand on me and hit me. Well, what is it now? I don't know what he does out there, but I have HIV or some STD or something that's going to affect my health. And every time he goes out there, he's risking my life. How about saying that? We need to stop minimizing the faults of these men just to have a man. And then you take your pictures together in good times and smile. And this guy don't want to work, right? Works at the job for 2 days and says, I can't do it. The hours are too long, or the work is too hard, or he makes something up. I was laid off. You got $20, sweetheart? I need a beer. And you go to work all day long, and your man sitting up under a damn tree, sucking on some beer, and has no vision. You've got to have a checklist. You got to have a standard in what you're going to deal with. Because, sisters, there's a lot of men out here, males. Well, let me make that correction. There's a lot of males out here. There are a lot of penises out here. But what about the man behind the penis? What about the vision that this man has, the drive to reach a dream and manifest a dream and make it come true? So you ain't saying nothing by saying you have a man to satisfy other people because of the facade, and you're getting older and you know that other people are going to start whispering. Half the time when you allow these men in your life, you're allowing hell in your life. You walk that devil right through the front door. And on other videos, I've said it lots of times. When we have drama and sorrow and pain and abuse in our life through a mate, it's because we let the devil in and open the door wide and said, come on into our lives. And you did so without checking the person on who it is. You don't have a club and let anybody in. You have to frisk them and make sure they don't have any guns and any weapons or any drugs or whatever you don't want in the club. They do that in a club, but you can't do that for your life. You can't fact check. You can't do a background check. Look. What it's going to require, I'm not going to ramble on too long. I've been running my mouth too much, right? And I was already in the bed, and I just got up. Something said, let me just check the stories out here. And I got a couple things working on my computers. Let me check on it. Let me see if these things are done, right? But I'm going to come up with a checklist, and I'm going to have a show about this, and I want to hear your comments. Check the driver's license. Make sure this brother has a driver's license. Find out why it's suspended. Is it because he was caught with multiple DUIs? Is it because he hasn't paid his child support on children he never told you about? Huh? You marry somebody, their burdens become your burdens. And children are never burdens. I'm just saying that if he's neglecting his responsibility, it's a burden on you because that comes with the man. Have you checked his record to see if he's ever been locked up before and why? Yes, I know a misdemeanor here and there. I'm not saying he has to have a perfect record, but not something that you unearth and find out that this man killed his pregnant woman. That's unacceptable. Stop looking for a male and find a real man. His work history. If there are any gaps in his work history, why? How did he support himself? I mean, you go to a job on an interview to look for a new job, and they'll ask you that. And that's just the job because they can get rid of him quick. And here you are letting this man in your life and you let him slide. Well, I see here he didn't work for like a year and a half. Why not? And I know the job market could be terrible. And I know sometimes if you have a career or a type of work that you do, it may be hard to find that kind of work. But you know what? I drive buses now. I've done carpentry. I've driven taxis. I've worked in Home Depot before. Hell, if I have to, I'll flip burgers. If I have to, I'll clean a toilet. Yes, I would. If it's going to keep that money coming in, I know from boxing and my love of boxing that every blow is not a knockout blow. You're not going to knock out every opponent. And every punch you throw is not going to end the fight. So every type of employment that you have may not be the ultimate salary or the ultimate position where you look forward to going to earn your money every day. It may be where you have to earn 25% of what you used to earn and not do certain things or indulge in certain things that you used to indulge in. Sometimes you have to tighten up. That's required as a man. But you want to keep your hands moving. Credit your credit reports. Is this man responsible with money? See, if Faith Green went down every aspect, and I suspect with this man, her husband, Gregory Green, that there are other issues in other areas of his life that would have screamed out. But that one thing there, that's enough. Killing your pregnant girlfriend/wife, just killing your woman who has your child. How could you lay in the bed with somebody like that? Symbolically, I really can't put my hand around that and find a reason to justify her actions. But I did say I wasn't going to beat up on her. But if this man is going to give his life to you, say he does work, but he's irresponsible with money, how are you going to gain as you get older and look toward retirement together? That's the sweetest part of this life. I look forward to retirement. I look forward to, in several years, not having to work. And I'm still going to always earn and do things and do my own thing, but on the plantation where you have to punch that clock. I don't want that no more. I wish I could stop now. I just need a couple more years and I'm there. But that's neither here nor there, because I'm going to strive to reach mighty goals until the day my God calls me home. And this is the kind of man you want. And I'm not putting myself up on a pedestal, but I have to agree, I do have some of those qualities. I didn't always have the most pristine qualities, but I was always a good kid coming up, and I was taught right. What was this man, or not just Gregory Green, but when you talk to or get interested in a man, what is his family life like? How did he deal with his mother and father, or whoever it was that brought him up? What kind of life did they have as an example to him to put a psychological imprint in his mind, and that's the way he will navigate and treat his mate? See, this is why we got to take time. It takes time to let all of this sink in. And I'm very interested to see how long it took for them from the time that they met until the time that they got together. But she put in for him, wrote letters that he be paroled. So did she meet him while he was incarcerated? The way the story is structured, I believe so. Let me scroll up here. I hate to pause in the middle of a video, but I got to get it right. But it does seem to me, because when they said that he was released, oh God, such a short article, and I just can't seem to find it. But he was released. Okay, they married in 2010, but when did he get out? Okay, I mean it didn't take long, and they have a picture in this article, and I'll put it below, of the 4 caskets. So sad. Various colors and sizes. Who picked the caskets? Who had to deal with this tremendous loss? So I don't know you, Faith Green, but my prayers go out to you. And my feelings of warmth and love go out to you. And I'm sorry if I seem like I was bashing you, but I wasn't. I just want my sisters to learn from this example. And I do believe one day the pain you feel will be minimized down to something that doesn't cripple you as much as it does right now. I hate to see anyone hurt. But I don't want to see anybody hurt, and this is why I'm talking this way. Ladies, you got to take your time. Any man you deal with, really, in this day and age, has to pass the litmus test to get to you. We treat our cars better than we do our lives. We treat our homes better sometimes than we do our lives. We let anybody in. But the bottom line is, take your time, because it's easy to find a male, but it's a lot more difficult, but more rewarding when you find a real man. A man who will protect you. A man who will never lay his hand on you. A man who, every move he makes, he thinks of you and has your best interest in life. Because what many men don't understand is that, or many males don't understand. I know, sisters, many of you have it going on and you're independent and you're working your career. My hat's off to you. But it's still in your nature to be secured. And while you'll never say, I'm going to sit on my back and just wait for a man to take care of me, I don't expect you to do that. I want you to be independent and to be able to handle your own. But it's got to be a good feeling that while you have your own and you're capable of taking care of yourself, it's got to be a good feeling that you can let that man handle and take care and do what he's supposed to do. Because the bottom line is, and you know it, and I don't think there's any woman who would argue with me on this point, ultimately, in a perfect world, security is what you truly desire. Security. And so, men, you've got to be security minded. Thinking about those bills, thinking about that home, thinking about the comfort of your wife, thinking about her bliss and bringing her that heaven on earth. This is what you were made for. And when you do that, oh Lord, could you imagine, if you're not experiencing it yet, when that woman knows that you love her and that you'll knock out the world for her and endure any pain out there to bring it on home to keep her secured? 10 times out of 10, you're going to experience heaven on earth.
Make sure to check out the boldest blog at LanceScurv.com and follow Scurv on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube under LanceScurv.